arguably the most influential band of all time. All members of the Beatles are from Liverpool, England, and they officially formed in the year 1962. John Lennon and Paul McCartney were the main songwriters in the Beatles. George Harrison and Ringo Starr are great songwriters in their own right. The Beatles were first popular in England and Europe. They were quickly becoming popular in the US as well. In 1964, they made their first trip to the US to perform. Once they performed in the US, their popularity surged. They began a multi-city concert tour in which they sold out many huge venues. The Beatles were a phenomenon by the end of 1964. In 1965, the Beatles began to explore new sounds and instruments with the release of the album Rubber Soul. George Harrison began to write songs which were on this album. In 1966, the Beatles stopped concert tours and began focusing on recording. They no longer wanted the problems which were presented by fame and began to withdraw from the public. Sgt. Pepper Lonely Heart Club Band was named as one of the most influential music albums of all time. It was also known as one of the first albums to be built around a theme. This was followed by other concept albums. In 1968, they released the double album which is known as the White Album. This album began to show the Beatles members moving in different directions musically. In 1969, the Beatles released the Abbey Road album. This album is also known as very influential, and it has been said that the Beatles once again sounded like a band. In 1970, the Beatles released their final album, Let It Be. This album was recorded before Abbey Road but released later. The Beatles disbanded in 1970 and they remain popular to this day.